was too eager, too anxious.
No worries, man. You know, I decided to wear my Miami gear for you because you know I was like, man, every picture this man has all over the world, he's got his Seminoles hat with him. So I was like, you know what?
Trying to really get me going now.
See? Yeah. I'm gonna. You know what? I think that's the point of this. Got to get you fired up, man. We're here. I think we're here to. I think we're gonna have a major discussion today.
Well, let's have some fun, man.
Yeah. Well, look, man. Start off with this. We'll start off with some easy stuff here, man. First and foremost, man. Thank you, Anthony, for coming on here, taking the time. I know that there's a 7-hour time difference, so sometimes it gets kind of rough, but I appreciate you taking the time to come on here with me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I caught a couple of your episodes. I thought you had some perspectives and some some things that maybe my experiences could contribute to. So I felt like when you reached out to me, I was like, this is something I should look into. So yeah, I'm happy to get it done so early, though.
Yeah. Well, look, I got into it kind of with somebody yesterday. I won't mention his name, but honestly, when I started this show, it wasn't with the intention of interviewing a lot of, skaters and things like that. But just so happens that the Olympics and some of the other things kind of fell into a time frame where it makes sense to have to get a lot of you guys out here and voicing your opinions and things like that. So, as you'll see, is actually a show that I just put up today, went live just as we were coming on, was with a guy named Shane Vitko. Guys from Boston, spent time in prison, alcohol recovery, went out to LA, ended up hooking up with a ton of like Hollywood elite, started a major podcast with a guy named Tommy Vext from Bad Wolves, and ended up moving out here during the pandemic. That's my typical fare during, but guys like you, that as for lack of a better word, seminal in the sport, guys that I know, but you're still participating in it today, man. You're still out there doing it.
Yeah. I feel like, we're kind of over there in Area 51, just creating new stuff and nobody knows about it. We're kind of generating new aliens every day, but that's the nature of the beast. Everything's always evolving. Got to adapt.
Well, dude, okay. So there's no single coach is responsible for all of the athlete's performance, but man, kudos to you and your wife, man. How many gold medals does she have now?
She's got 2, but total medal counts up to 11 now. So she's doing pretty good there.
She's a beast, man.
The stats are awesome. I mean, I'm a stat, probability type of guy. But the stats are awesome. So, she's doing well. I mean, she's 31. She's rounding the corner on 32. So it's not that she's, doing it when she's a spring chicken, which is kind of something that's really, really important and people need to keep in mind, is that, you can be an athlete as long as you can train well, take care of your body, and have people around you that want to see you succeed and make good decisions. It's not just you're going to go and be finished when you need to go to college type deal. So I think that there's a lot of that happens in a lot of sports. People make decisions because they get an injury or, they see life moving in a different direction. For us, it's super, super elite, the highest of, Mount Everest. But I think the idea is, you don't always have to stop doing something you like just because you see a road of high performance ending. And I think that people really have lost touch with, if you're doing something that you love or you think you love, and then all of a sudden your priorities change to, I need to go because I need to go to the Olympics, we've really lost touch with what sport is all about,
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously you transitioned from an athlete to a coach. But that didn't happen overnight.
It definitely did not.
What did you, when you left inline, you started leaving inline and things like that? I know you skated into the early 2000s. But what did you do when you left there that kind of prepared you to be able to start coaching someone like, your wife at this high level?
Absolutely. So that is a journey, my friend. That is a journey. Tallahassee's a mid-sized college town. I would say it's kind of like where the country road meets the cosmopolitan lifestyle of college, and that runs straight into, Victory Avenue, by Doak Campbell. It's like you walk straight into a college town off of a canopy road, So I grew up in a place where there wasn't a ton of great coaching, although there was like a really good coach who was enthusiastic. He just didn't have like all the physiological background, but he was more along the lines of, we're going to figure it out, So he kind of put me in charge a little bit of my own training when I was a kid. So he was in college himself, and as he was going to college, he knew he didn't have time to do everything. So I had to experiment with myself. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. That's the truth. 15, 16 years old, you're just trying to have a life, like be a kid. And he's like, listen, I want you to go work out. Well, what does that even mean? Like, I don't know, So when you're there and you're figuring it out, you make errors, you make, mistakes. And I made a lot of them on myself, luckily. And when I left inlines, that was 2000. I think my last junior world championships was 2001. So that was 9/11. And I kind of started skating like kind of on ice a little bit after 2002. Like, I watched Didi and I was like, I know that guy. Like, I should try this. Mm-hmm. And, I like to think like there were like 2 or 3 generations of really, really strong male and female US inline skaters. Like, you can go back further, but you can look at like the Derek Downing, Chad Hedrick generation, and you drop down to you guys, right? Then you kind of drop down to us, and Joey was kind of like the straggler, right? And he was kind of bringing up the rear in what I would call is like the last of like this major wave of inliners, right? And when I finished, Joey was just coming on, and I moved to Michigan, started skating short track there, and it was like throwing a rocket ship into a lake and saying, okay, now light your engines. Because I had no idea what I was doing. My equipment was for crap. It was no good. My technique was horrible. Again, I'm going through this learning phase, which is, the learning curve is very steep. And if you don't have people around you that know what they're doing, how to counsel you, not just through the technical aspects, but the physical training, the loading is so much different than it is in inlines. So, I know that on inlines, I never lifted weights. Never. Right. I never touched them. And I know Casey talked about this too in an episode with you. He's talking about how strong you need to be. And I remember thinking the same thing that Casey thought. And I know that somebody else from the Washington area, we've had this conversation, he and I, he had the same experience, which was like one summer he went in, and so did I, and so did Casey apparently, into the gym. And we just all went like He-Man. And all of a sudden that next season, I was like, all right, I'm going to light everybody's woodshed on fire, and I'm going to walk away laughing. Like, that's how strong that was, right? So my journey was becoming the best athlete that I could kind of make myself, with the help of all the tools and people around me, and then finding myself frustrated with different systems, right? And the systems that we all live in culture, not just in society, but sport and business, they're all designed by someone or a committee, right? So they're only as good as the people that are designing them. And what people forget about these systems is that they're not designed for everyone, even though everybody wants you to believe that they're not. So you have to find your own way, and you have to have people around you that are understanding that athletes have to find their own way. And that it's the same for a kid growing up. You got to find your own way. I mean, you and I probably spent most of our childhood outside, right? Like, I have this conversation all the time, right? If I was outside, like, that was fine. My mom was like, yeah, just stay out there, kid, So now it's a lot different. You wouldn't expect the same experiences from a kid walking into a sport of any kind as we had, right? So you can't imagine comparing any athlete to another athlete 20 or 25 years apart. People do it all the time. Kobe, Michael, right? Right. Where are we? What are we talking about? Totally different thing. Clearly, very, very close in generation, but still so different. So how you coach those people, it's incredibly important. you have to stay in touch and tune with them. I mean, I told you before, I'm a numbers guy. I like some numbers, you know, tell me, they keep me on path, they keep me on trend. But I'll be the first one to tell you those numbers don't mean anything once you get on the start line, right? And you have to be patient. You have to be a coach that has the ability to paint a picture with someone, right? And each athlete paints their own picture. It's not that I got this group of 9 and 10-year-olds that all do the same things and I paint the picture with them. It's not true. You look at these kids, you rectify a situation immediately and say, each one of these kids is painting their own picture. And I'm going to help them paint it. I'm not going to tell them what to paint, but they have their own vision. They're going to do their own thing. And my job is to simply say, well, I mean, what do you think? You think that blue is like, that's the blue you want? Or you want like a little lighter blue, right? You have to have a little bit different perspective. I think my road took me there. And that's how I listen to my wife, right? I'm sure people, oh man, Ari's the greatest. Arianna is the greatest that there's ever been, which now numerically, you can definitely argue that pretty well. And people will also say that it's so easy to work with great people. The talent, oh man, you gotta have the talent. It's true. It's you gotta have it. But
yeah,
I could go down a list of great athletes, great talented athletes that should have, would have, could have done way more. Right. And why didn't they? What failed for them? Was it the people around them? Was it a system that wasn't designed for them and boxed them in? I think that I love my wife more than I love to watch her skate. So me working with her, it's because I listen to her as a coach, and she has a vision and she asked me my opinion. And I think that my road to get there, man, it was a serious battle for me, because I think I can only go down the list and have 3 really good coaches in my career.
Well, I think this will kind of lead us down into this road, but start back here a little bit. When you transitioned over to ice, and I've heard a very similar story from other people. You tell me if you had a similar experience. Did you have a very warm welcome?
No, of course not.
When you went to the ice?
No, of course not. But I mean, there's seniority. Everybody in a world that can't anticipate you coming to blow it up doesn't like you, you know? I mean, think Mayans, think Incans, think like the first, I mean, John Smith came in. What happened to the Indians? Like, that's what we're talking about. So nobody likes them. They hope that everything's going to be okay, but they don't like that somebody comes in and takes their spot at the dinner table. And that's what happened a lot. I mean, Chad got the same. Everybody got it. So that's not a big deal. That's just, you know.
Do you think that was more encouraged at the federation level or enforced at the federation level, or do you think that was purely the athletes amongst themselves?
I think everybody wants a piece of the pie, and just depends on how hard they want to work, right, as an athlete. And I don't think that that's encouraged at any federal level, at an institutional level. I think that it's more realistic that they didn't know what to do with it when they saw it happening. So I think that there's not a protocol, there's not a system designed for all of these monsters that are drifting into their harbor, you know? They're like, okay, well, what do we do with this dude? What do we got with this girl's crazy? Like, well, she's gonna kill people, you know? And they don't know what to do with that. They're just like, okay, like, just don't touch it. Like, just don't touch it. We don't know what's gonna happen, you know? So, I mean, a lot of times though, that's the right answer though. Like, I don't pretend to be some like messiah or some like know everything there is to know about every topic. I know that there are things that I'm still experiencing as a young man. You know, you beat me to the punch. You know, daddy Husk. I mean, that's next on my list. That's like the final frontier for me. It's not space. It's kids.
Dude, I beat most people to it. You were still on short track. You had just started short track when I had my first kid.
That is also true. That is also true.
Mine's in college right now, man.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, my oldest is in college.
That's
you know, side note, I offered to pay for his entire everything to go to Miami if he would just go, if he could get in. He could have gotten in, but he refused. I mean, what kid turns down like an opportunity, especially come from like Texas? But anyway,
I don't know. I got questions for you then. You know, how are you raising that man?
Hey,
that's what my question is now.
Hey man, that's not, that's a different topic for a different show, man. All right. So look, yeah. So you're skating. Um, look, as I told you before, I like to know enough to get me in trouble, but not enough to where I'm going to sit here and walk you through everything. I will tell you this. I'm going to let you know this. I got a call yesterday from a buddy of mine who basically there was a game of telephone that went down. This person called this person, then this person called this person, and this person ends up calling me saying, hey, make sure when Jason talks to Anthony that they really dig in to a few things. Now, he didn't give me anything that we were supposed to dig into. He just simply said, make sure you guys dig in. He didn't know, wasn't passed down. From your and mine conversation, from our conversation, I gathered that there started to be at some point, we'll call it the early teens of 2000s, 2010, 12, 13, 14, whatever. There appeared to be some kind of conflict that kind of erupted. Was it did it start with like you and US speed skating or inline, or where did this go, man?
So again, I can go right back into coaching for this. It's, I guess I'm now at a point in my career where, political correctness is valuable, but also pulling punches is less valuable.
If it's going to hurt the athletes or it's going to hurt the sport.
Oh no, you never want to do that.
You got to lay this shit out there. No, what I mean is keeping it inside. That's where a lot of people do it.
Absolutely.
Don't keep the if it's
So there was a period where the U.S. had an incredibly deep short track team, including myself, Jordan, Apollo, Jeff. There were, some really, really, really talented, but also incredible. Like, I just called us all like, we're all meat eaters. Like, we're showing up at practice and we're gonna smash
absolute killers.
Entire practice, total assassins.
Yeah.
And I think that probably like 5 or 6 of us probably ranked in like we're stacked on top of each other in multiple distances, like top 5 in the world. So like it's a wrecking crew. And the coach that we had at the time, Jae-Soo Chun, he's Korean. He's still coaching, which is a dubious element in this discussion. But he changed short track in the United States based on technical elements. We weren't all very technical in our nature. We were just strong, and he made some changes to that. But what he did not do very well was create a culture, like an inclusive culture, right? And he didn't create a culture where it was an actual group of guys who, yes, we all had the same objective: go to the games, win, end of story. It wasn't show up at practice and go like survive. It was go to the games and win, not just go to the games. So he created a culture that wasn't inclusive. So we were, basically trying to kill each other all the time, which, and to a certain point, is great. It's great. Competition at practice, have it 100% of the time. But off the ice, we just carried that around. It was like we were carrying bazookas around, looking for each other's faces, And that, I mean, you have your own experience. You had a super dense work crew, where you guys were when you were skating inline. Like, I mean, okay, Paul's coaching, and you've got some guys that can just smash on each other, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I guarantee you, the environment on wheels is different than on ice, right?
Sure.
The environment's different. So getting back into this, there's some discrepancy or there's some conflict. This coach really goes about doing a really good job of distorting the views of people back and forth from each other. It's unknown to the athletes because that's not our job. He is just like a master manipulator, not like not like inspiring you, just almost instigating, right? So this goes on for years. It's not that it happens over a month or a week, it's years. And we're just tightening up the screws. We're getting ready for Vancouver. And it like basically like reaches a tipping point on the team where everybody's just starting to lose it. Like at practice, off the ice, it's like the worst possible environment there is. Nobody wants to hang out. It's just cutthroat. Okay. So you get to a point where everybody's exhausted. Everybody, you know, isn't trying to help each other, isn't trying to help people like thrive. We're just trying to sort of keep our heads above water. The training program was really hard, but that was the deciding element. So at the end of Vancouver, I actually got sick at Olympic trials. I got sick and I didn't make the team. Fine. I mean, that happens to any and everybody. Disappointing, but I come back in and I had qualified the team for the Olympics. Like I basically got sick at Olympic trials, and then 6 weeks later, everybody else got sick. So I still went to qualify the team for the games. So I qualified the spots, fine. And I approached US Speedskating and I'm like, listen, like you guys need to guarantee me to stay on. I'm literally right now ranked number 5 in the world, but I'm not going to the Olympics. And when I qualify these spots, I'm hurting myself. Like I'm hurting myself for my own future. And I sat down in a room with the high performance director and who was then the vice president of US Speedskating. And they were like, decide if you want to do this. We're not going to help you in the future. And I was like, well, I just want to make sure you guys are sure you want to do this. Like, I'm going to go qualify these spots. This is the race to do it. And you're telling me you're not going to support me in the next season. They were like, no.
Wait,
okay.
Now back, because explain that. I'm kind of lost. So you guys were coming up for the 2010 Vancouver Olympics. You got sick and missed your spot on the team. And then there was a 6 weeks later, there was another qualifier or?
So basically the way that it works in short track, long track, and always remember the qualification processes are always changing. It's never the same.
Right.
It's very rarely the same. So, but I will backtrack in a moment and talk about that because I think that's really, really important. But just the qualification process itself, the U.S. is fortunate in one way, and I'll go back and explain that in a minute. This time, it was actually an Olympic qualification as a U.S. domestic competition, but then you actually take a team to go qualify spots, and it's not like if Anthony Lobello skated or Apollo Ono skated, they own those spots. It's like USA 1, USA 2, USA 3.
Gotcha.
So you go to a World Cup and qualify spots, and that's what happened. Basically, everybody got sick, and actually, who you also know, Ryan Cox, but Ryan Levier, he also went to that same competition because so many people were sick, and he had already retired. So he came in to skate that competition just so we could qualify the spot.
Just so you guys could have more spots at the Olympics.
At the games. Yeah. At the games. So basically, at that last competition, I sat down and I was like, all right, like I'm basically shooting myself in the head by doing this. So I need to know that I'm going to be taken care of and I have like support financially in the year to come because like I need to have some reassurances. They wouldn't do that. And I was like, okay, like I'm going to do this. And then this is done for me. I'm done here. I know that the most important part about life in general, and I had to learn this all through this process, was that you really got to make sure you keep the best people around you, people that look out for you. It's not that they don't look out for other people, but you know that they will tell you the truth, that you know that they will always, hey, listen, this opportunity is coming around. Hey, watch out for this sandbag, like watch out, right? You have to keep those people around you. And you cannot assume as an athlete that you can do it by yourself. You can't, because there's too many dynamics that as a blossoming athlete, you don't know about. You're just naive to it. And that's okay. You should keep some of that naivete as an athlete.
Yeah. Yeah, you should be able to concentrate on your athletics, your sports, rather than all the politics and other bullshit.
There you go. The higher you go in sport, the more dense the politics are. So this is basically where my conflict came in. I was like, these people didn't support me. I'm going to do my own thing. Like, I'm not going back to the national team. If I'm going to skate for the U.S., I'm going to skate in another place. Like, I'm not going to do it. So that conflict allowed me to actually learn a lot about myself, was basically telling that coach who manipulated all of us to basically hurt each other. Like, I'm not coming back there. I don't care what you do, what you say. I'm going to go to a place where maybe I don't have any funding, maybe I don't have any support, but I know that nobody's going to lie to me. And I know that I can do my own training. So I actually, instead of being in Salt Lake City, I went to Michigan and I trained in Michigan, more or less by myself. And there were some juniors there that were younger and they didn't really have it all together yet.
Yeah.
And the coaching there was less, but I had already experienced what I need to do basically to get myself going. So I kind of wrote, the program there. I wrote my own program, and I went out and had a good season, competed against all the guys on the national team. I beat most of them internationally. And that's like a satisfying moment because you know that you're growing as a person. You're kind of I was already kind of making that transition from being an athlete and now kind of coaching myself. Mm-hmm. Right. And in that period also, there's also something way different about wheels versus blades. And, I think probably Casey talked about it a little bit, is the equipment, man. The equipment, it's a do or die feature. Like if you don't have good equipment, you're toast, like completely dead. And it doesn't get easier the faster you go. Like your equipment has to be better the faster you go. And it's just like a car. Like the Formula One cars don't get set up to drive 100 miles an hour. They get set up to drive 200 miles an hour.
Right.
And they feel like crap going 100. So blades are the same way. And I had some great mentors in that way as far as blade setup and the understanding of blades. I mean, Laurent Dagnon, he's still doing the Canadian team's blades right now. And he happened to be coaching and doing blades in the United States when I was there. I mean, I couldn't have picked up 10% of what he knows. And it was a great springboard. And you have to recognize, again, the people you keep around, you keep your eyes open as an athlete. You got to keep your head on a swivel and look for these people that pop into your life. It's not just like, hey, here's this one person I need to learn everything from. Man, you've got to be agile. So also Paul Marchese, who I know Casey also talked about, mm-hmm. Great boot maker, all around genuine like engineering mind. Good friend of mine now. I mean, both of those guys played a huge part in my development and understanding blades. And just taking that understanding in the 2011-12 period, basically 10 through 12, taking that to today, like Ari doesn't skate on blades that exist. Her blades don't even exist. No one else can get them. They don't exist. So she skates on blades that are a tactical advantage. They are the edge that people look for to win. So how did those come about? Because we created them out of nothing. Different metal, different aluminum, and this stuff. I shouldn't be saying this, right? There you go. Good luck. Go find these blades, right? But truthfully, 2 weeks ago, she's winning a 500 meter at the Olympics because of this experience that I had with these two men in a very difficult time period where I'm trying to figure out how to put things together for myself. Like, how do I do these blades? Nobody's here to do them for me, so I need to do it myself. I'm on the phone call. I'm on the phone at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, talking to these guys, and they're telling me, hey, listen, don't worry, just go outside, get a Coke, to walk around the building and come back to the problem. Like the stuff that you hear all the time, it's happening in real time. And I'm like, I have to get ready for a World Cup. I'm trying to go win a 1,000-meter race at a World Cup in a week. I don't even know what I'm doing blade. So I think that those types of situations, as you develop as a coach and as an athlete, and if you're going to transition, you got to look for those people.
Well, can I back up on something real quick?
Yeah.
Are the blades? I remember when I transitioned, when I went over to ice, I had a maple blade, and Kip mm-hmm. Carpenter on the U.S. long track team is actually who taught me how to sharpen. Him and Joey Cheek, actually the ones mm-hmm. who taught me how to work the blades and burr them, deburr them, all this other stuff. But everything that was there was kind of standardized. Now, is there like an approval process for the equipment where the blades had to be specified and approved, or they just have to meet a certain standard, and if they're on the skate, you guys can skate with them? So
there is no standard. There is no regulation. I mean, they're going to say, you can probably go find a very vague description. It's not like, I remember, when it's so much different now for inlines because the wheels are so big and the selection, the options are so much more limited now. But mm-hmm. on quads, it was like you had all these different quad wheels that were allowed, that weren't allowed, that was like Wicked Lips and Camp, like all these different things, right? And somebody would release a wheel like right before the national championships, and we're like, can we use them or not? It's like, it's not like that on ice at all. The blade, legitimately, like end to end, the tips of them are the biggest criteria. They just can't be sharp like a knife. You have to round them, the ends. That's it. So if you design something that nobody's ever heard of and nobody recognizes, you win. Like,
have you guys,
if you design a spaceship, you win.
have you guys experienced, like, I mean, have you guys, I'm assuming it happens, you know, I mean, your wife's amazingly fast. She's skating on these blades that no one else has, no one can get their hands on. Have you guys experienced like espionage where people are trying to get a hold of her skates? Or
yeah. But I mean, again, keep good people around you, make good decisions. Like, it's keep people that have good character around you, and you know, because you've seen them exercise that character. Like, go out and make conscious decisions. And if you can't keep people like that around you, keep your circle tight, because that stuff exists, and it's not just blades and anything else. It's like the environment in which you train is so huge, man. It's like a work environment, right? You don't want to show up to an office that's, man, I don't want to be here, this place sucks. You know, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to come to an office like that. They want to come to an office like, yo, man, did you see that project? Oh man, I'm gonna crush that project. Yeah. Like, you show up to an office and you're like, okay, like, I actually want to be here. It's the same thing for training. Like, you cannot show up and be completely miserable.
So you're back now. Now we're back like 2012. You're over there. You're kind of you're doing your own thing. You're your own trainer and coach, more or less.
Yeah.
2014 comes around. You start having to make a decision.
Well, so actually in 2011, 12, I made a decision. I was like, all right, I did my own thing. Like, this is enough. I don't want to go back to that environment. Like, I don't want to go back to that hostility. And the year prior, like, I skated really well, but it takes a lot of energy to do stuff by yourself. Like,
same US coaches out there, same exact guy from 2010 is still there.
Same.
All right.
And he basically comes up to me, and they had changed the rules after myself and Jeff Simon, who we were pretty strong guys at that time. We both got sick at Olympic trials, or maybe I got sick and Jeff just skated like an idiot. But we were both like in the like most likely to go to Vancouver. So they changed the rules of qualifying, which I'm going to insert my little piece here. All right. Yeah. Qualification, man, so critical.
Yeah.
So in the United States, unlike most countries, there is what is the Ted Stevens Sports Act. Okay. It's something that protects athletes, where you have to, in the United States, create a way to qualify officially. And it doesn't matter what happens to you after that. You have legal rights as an athlete. In other countries, you don't. That doesn't exist. Okay.
You said it's called the Ted Stevens Act?
Should be 1980.
Okay. 1980 Ted Stevens Act. All right.
It's basically where Congress recognizes the U.S. Olympic Committee, or now I guess it's USOPC or USOPTC. They changed the name. But basically, it is the thing that protects athletes for everything. Basically, there's due process in it. There's, a coach just can't tell you they don't like you and then you don't make a team, right?
Yeah.
If there's a standardized way to qualify your team, then that exists. Softball, baseball, those types of things are a lot more difficult because it's actually a team sport, right?
Right.
You got to have some feeling. Skating. Now, this is the other aspect, is that short track, I'm going to break some hearts right now. I'm going to tell you guys the truth. It is not a team sport, right? I mean, you guys everybody trains in a group. You got to think about it as if you're a boxer and you are the only boxer on your team, because everybody else is a sparring partner. Okay. So as an individual sport, there are team events, right? It's like track and field.
Yeah.
Hey man, I love a 4x100. I love a 4x400, right? But that's a team event. It's not the open 4. It's not the open 100, right?
You're still competing against each other in the 200, the 400, the 800.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
short track is the same. Long track's even more individualized, right? Because you literally are doing a time trial.
Right.
So if anybody tries to convince you that short track or long track or skating at all is a team sport, please shut them down, because it's like cancer. You can't let that go and keep growing.
Yeah.
People have to understand they need to stand on their own 2 feet.
We're collectively Team USA, but that's it.
No, that of course, everybody is representing their country, but I mean, I'm also representing my family. I'm also representing all the work that I do. That's me, right? And then I show up, and what jacket do I have on, right? That's what happens.
Right.
people get really confused about it. I don't think that many people actually grasp that they show up at practice and they're like, oh man, I'm skating today with all these people. Yeah, you are skating with these people, but nobody's skating, like, we're not passing a puck together. There's no ball transitioning, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a team practice, it's a group practice. If you have a good group, doesn't matter if it's male or female, right? Doesn't matter if it's mixed. If people are good, like, you wouldn't take a 7-year-old, right, who's a phenom, and make him skate with 7-year-olds. If he or she was brilliant, you'd be like, oh man, this 7-year-old skates as fast as my 13-year-olds. Who am I going to skate him with?
13-year-old,
right?
Yeah.
Performance. It's totally merit based. If you're fast, you're fast.
Yeah.
If you're a female, it doesn't matter. Just don't get it twisted that this is a team thing. We need to help. Man, yeah, you need to do your work. And if you do your work, that's going to help everybody else, because that's what? It's going to force them to do their work.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to get this twisted. And unfortunately, like, everybody wants to do things together so much nowadays. That's not just in sport, it's in society. It's we. Man, if we are doing something, I want we to be millionaires, but
we aren't paying my bills.
There you go, man. So I think transition of sport theory into society is critical. And again, back to, got to have people around you, good character, making character-driven decisions. You've got to find those people, those coaches that make a real impact on people's lives from when they're kids all the way through their 35.
So you got this asshole out here, Team USA. He's fucking up everybody's lives, and he's running people out. Guys like you, top-rated athletes, things like that. Yeah. And you're saying, "Fuck it, I'm done. I'm done with this stuff.
Yeah, I'm out of here. This is broken, and they don't want to fix it. Maybe they know it's broken and they don't want to fix it, or maybe they do, and they're like, screw it, we don't care. We're going to lose one guy. We got 6 more, right? Well, that only goes on for so long, because you lose one guy and it's like, well, okay. Well, what about the next generation, right? Mm-hmm. That ball keeps bouncing. Mm-hmm. So I leave. I make a really big effort. Look up all my family history. Is amazing process for me. Like, I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, I didn't speak any Italian. My family's origin is Italian. I had to find everything in genealogy and go in libraries, and I mean, everywhere was amazing. I'm like, all the stuff that you think of, like when we were kids and they're like, oh, go look up all your historical research in microfiche, right? Oh, go look up all that. Who wants to do that? Nobody.
Yeah.
But I found myself in a library looking up all these, all the manifests from ships, looking for my family, right? Yeah. Amazing. It's totally awesome process when you look back over it. But
here in the US, you were doing that?
All these documents together.
You were looking at the microfiche, all that from the immigration part in New York?
Yeah, totally.
All right.
I'll tell you the best place to do it. Everybody came through Ellis Island, so it made it easy, number one. But number two, don't hate on me. The LDS church, Mormon church in Salt Lake, has the largest in the world genealogy library. No shit.
Yep.
So I went, I was there and I was like, I guess I'm going downtown.
If a lot of people don't know this, ancestry.com
also
is heavily Mormon influenced, and it's there. South of Salt Lake. Mm-hmm. It's there. So I mean, the largest repository in the world. I mean, that makes total sense. Yeah,
massive. But it's super cool. So I went through that whole process. I found my granddaddy. Boom, there he is. Found you. Now I got to track you on all these ships. Super cool. I track it down, and you go through these processes that it's easy to get stopped and jammed up and quit. And that happened 3 or 4 times. Like, I'm looking, I'm like, all right, I lost him. He's gone. Like, poof, dream over. I'm done here. And kind of stick with it. I'm calling all my family members. I get a phone number out of a Bible. This is totally real, but also bizarro.
Like a
phone number out of a Bible, random phone number. I'm like, that it seems like an Italian phone number. My sister speaks Italian. I don't, but she didn't. She speaks it because she learned it in college. And I'm like, Sarah, you need to call this number, because what am I going to say to these people? Like, I don't speak Italian. She calls them, and it is literally my grandfather's house. Here it is. Like, this is it. She's like, Anthony, I think I just talked to your cousin. And I'm like, what? Like, how? She's like, no, I'm serious. Like, I was explaining the whole thing. They were talking about years and time. And I'm like, what? So that gets the whole ball rolling again. You know, you go through these things, you get stopped up, you find a solution. We got lucky a couple times, and at the end of it, you know, I find out, hey, I can do it. I'm actually Italian, so I become an Italian citizen, get my passport, and at that same time, like I had known my now wife before, but we had kind of started talking, and I was kind of like, this is a great like reason to go. It's the biggest risk of my life. I'm not dating her, but I'm gonna go over there and see, like, is this a thing? Like, I'm gonna take a shot. It's like a double barrel shotgun. I'm leaving one place because I think it's broken, and I'm going to a place that's a total big question mark. And I got this like this girl that's like, okay, like I don't know what that is, but I'm walking over there. I'm gonna figure it out, right?
Let me ask you really
And
quick.
that's how it happened. I went over to Italy, and I was like, oh.
Let me ask you this, because the word that was used with me, again, know enough only to get me in trouble, but enough to ask some good questions. The word that was used with me was defected. Did you renounce your U.S. citizenship, or now do you have dual U.S.? You have dual citizenship?
No. Listen, for anybody that thinks that, man, I pay taxes in both countries. So if I did, I'm you guys are walking on streets I'm fucking paying for. So.
All right. Yeah, I didn't know about that, but yeah, that was the word that was used.
No. It's actually not like that at all. There are countries that have like accords with the U.S. and it's totally streamlined. It's not a big deal at all.
Okay, so now you're over there. You see your future wife. You don't know what the hell you're going to do. You don't know if this is a thing, and I mean, it was just like an Italian love story happening now.
Yeah, totally, absolutely, totally. I wandered into a place and had to figure it out. Like I originally, I'll tell you right now, I bought Rosetta Stone, and I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I'm gonna buy Rosetta Stone. And I bought Rosetta Stone. I was like, this is gonna save my life. And I got to Italy, and I was like, what am I doing with this thing? I just need to go to the grocery store. Like, screw Rosetta Stone. Like, I have to figure out how to eat. You know?
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I walked to the grocery store, and I was like, pointing at stuff, and they're like, you want some of that? I'm like, yeah. But not being able to speak Italian is any language, man. I mean, this goes to communication everywhere. Like, you got to find a way to communicate, get your ideas across, and you find the right reason. Like, hunger's a pretty good one, you know?
Yeah. So. Survival. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big change, but I skated 1 games for the Italian team. My knee was kind of messed up at the end of my career. So it wasn't, at the end of the day, like, I was making the right decisions for the right reasons, but the likelihood is that they were too late. And I think that as athletes, you know, hindsight, and just like in life, hindsight's 20/20. So you can see it only up to a certain point, and then the crystal ball goes away. And I would say that, you know, staying in a bad situation, staying in a bad environment, it can change who you are faster than you can believe. And you got to get yourself out of bad environments as quickly as you can recognize them. And that might mean, like, okay, I'm going to take a chance and go do something absolutely wild, right? But you need to know as a person, like, this isn't right. This isn't the right thing to do. I shouldn't be feeling bad for no reason. I know that there are a lot of people that went through the same experiences, that, you know, nobody wants to talk badly about portions of their life that they also have fond memories of, you know? I mean, we were a powerhouse team in that period, when all these like bad things, we'll say, were going on. And I still have great memories with all the guys I skated with, all the girls that we all hung around with, the whole group. But it's because we were winning, you know?
Well, I mean, let me ask you, when you decided, was it 2012 when you went over to Italy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in 2012, where would you have been ranked in the world as far as any given race, or your best race?
Right. Well, here's the thing. You have to take a season off in order to make that jump. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't tell you what I would have been ranked in that season, because I literally had to skip all skating and representing the United States.
Oh, so you can't skate for an entire year in order to move from one country to the next. So when you stopped skating, when you decided you were going to do this and you stopped skating, where were you ranked?
I think I was top 5 in 1,000.
So you weren't. Well, and the reason I ask is because a lot of people, well, you know, Fourth and I, we sit here and we watched the opening ceremonies for the Winter Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
There was one athlete, and I want to say she was like born and raised in somewhere in Texas, and she was ranked like number 200th in some event, and she couldn't qualify for the U.S. team, and so she defected. Basically, and she gave up pretty much her U.S. citizenship though, but she went down to like Costa Rica or something like that, and is the only athlete from Costa Rica. But she wanted to compete in this event because she had the. But like I said, that's a huge defining factor where you made a decision to leave a powerhouse environment that where you were already a top ranked athlete.
Like I would say it was never a decision about performance for me. It was never. And you have to make decisions as an athlete, as a coach, as a person that sometimes for a lot of people look like something else, you know, but you as, you know all the things you know, and the other people, whoever they are that want to comment or want to speculate, they don't know the things you know, right? It's not possible. So when you make a decision for yourself, you don't make it for anybody else. And here's an interesting stat. I am the only, wait a minute, that's not true. John Henry is now the second one to do that. I was the first athlete ever to qualify for the United States at the Olympics in any sport and leave and go to another country and qualify again for the Olympics. So the only, I don't want to say the only other because I need to look that up. Another US athlete did it after I did just recently. He just competed for Hungary, John Henry. If it's happening more than one time, that period of time should be recognized as having some mistakes been made.
Yeah.
And you got to look really closely at how to handle athletes and what they really need and listen to them. Like I said, I try to listen to my wife, not just like as my wife, but as an athlete. Listen to what they're telling you, read between the lines and understand their positions. I'm certain that John Henry and I weren't, our opinions, our what we were seeing and what we were feeling weren't factored into decisions that were being made that I would generally say, the 10 years following both of he and I's departure, it's not like the greatest U.S. success rate, I mean, if I can remember clearly, I think that the U.S. had the highest number of medal count like in 2006 and 2010. So I went to the games for the U.S. in 2006. I think we won 10 or 11 medals for speed skating, short track and long track combined. And then Vancouver was the same, I think 10 or 11. And since then, I think that maybe they've won 2 or 3 medals before this games.
Yeah.
Total. So in a what, 14, 18. So two Olympic games, roughly a budget of, let's just say $20 million. They won 2 medals.
Jesus. Okay, hold on.
So that's tough.
$20 million budget. Is that per?
Over
is that
period,
per quad?
Over period. No. That's over 8 years. So.
But still, God,
that's normal.
dang.
That's normal.
Wow. Yeah, we're sitting here. I mean, I'm having conversations with people on the inline, and the Team USA has to pay for their entire way. They've been doing this now for going on 10, 7, 8 years. They're having to pay their entire way. I mean, it's a different story. Yeah, they can't get corporate sponsors, but they're doing a fundraiser on the JD Happy Hour, which is a a weekly show they do there on Facebook. A couple guys, Jim Larson and Danny Roberts. I mean, I just donated $250 because it's going to go straight to the world team because they've got to pay for all that themselves. But wow. So over an 8-year period, roughly $20 million.
Just think about it like it's $2.5 million a year that they'll burn through. And that's mostly it's staff, mostly.
Very little spent actually on the athletes.
No, I don't want to say that because I haven't looked through their budget line by line. I mean, it's not. Again, I left. I'm not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, by comparison, what you have now is you're in the coaching position on the Italian, Olympic team, world team. I mean, by
Mhm.
comparison, like, what do you see? Well, let's back that up here. So you make the transition over Italy. Do you start, do you weren't very welcomed. You weren't welcomed highly on the US team when you transition from inline to ice over in the USA. Now you're coming from the USA. Obviously, there's, the time you're doing it, we're ramping up a lot of global, political bullshit. Now you're coming over to Italy. Are you welcomed? Are you brought right in and says, hey, man,
Well,
we're glad to have you?
listen, I'll tell you what, the Italians welcomed me at the beginning. I think that it was like, I was kind of a novelty. They were happy to have somebody on the team that could also contribute
Okay.
like in a big way.
Yeah.
They were kind of missing some guys. They had a lot of young potential, I think, and they were looking to kind of like, grow that. But then I think that they realized, like, man, this guy is once again taking one of us out, and that, again, John Smith and the Indians, like, that's what happens. Somebody comes in and totally changes an environment and how people move and work in that environment. I mean, my work rate and like standards of work are high. So like, example, I remember because I came to visit the team before, like in late 2011, early 2012, like over basically New Year's. And then again, like in early 2012, preparing them, but not me preparing them. I was just getting back in shape. So I came for like 2 weeks at a time. Mm-hmm. And the first time I just showed up. I didn't tell anybody. The coaches, I said, don't tell anybody. Just let me walk into the barracks. Just let me walk in, like, surprise, motherfucker. Like, hey, I'm here. And it was like a really cool thing, right? Like they were like, oh my God, what is he doing here? Like, is he just here to practice? Like nobody knew, right? Yeah. So and a prime example of like work rate. So I wake up the next morning, right, to go to practice. And I just like, done my normal thing. I'm getting back in shape because I took that year off, right? And all the team gets in a van to run down, to drive down to the rink. And maybe it's like, a 3-minute ride. Okay. It's cold out, it's snowing and whatever. My general tendency is I'm running to wherever I'm going. Like I'm warming up and running. Like they pass me running in the van. And that is like the most perfect, like symbolic motion. Like this guy is showing up on day one. I told you I'm a meteor. I'm coming in there. I don't know what these guys are like. I never trained with them before. So we're gonna go day one and see how it goes. I'm in there. I'm doing all my stretching. I'm getting myself warmed up. Foam rolling. They've never seen a foam roller. Like they don't know what's happening. I show up on the ice and I'm strong, but I'm out of shape still. So I'm getting back on it. I'm not doing like super speed stuff, but I'm skating laps, and then I'm cooling down. Dude, the van's already gone. Like it's like show up, do your thing, leave. Like, and I'm like, this is not my process. I got to work this out. So like part of the idea of me coming was a good idea on the coach's part, because they were like, we know Anthony has a very high rate of work. We want to change this. This is like an example of how to do it. Not because I'm like some brilliant guy. It's just because you go through a program or a culture of work ethic and work rate in the United States that's very structured, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You get certain like nutrition advice, you get great strength and conditioning coaches, and they're always preaching to you about what to do, what not to do, how to respond to different circumstances. Well, I already went through that. It's like basic training. I already did it. Like, all right, let's go. So second time I came back, I was in better shape, right? And they're getting ready for the world championships, and they're like, not enough guys, not enough girls on the ice. So the girls and the guys skate separately at that point. I get on the ice and they're like, hey, can you help us lead? And I'm like, yeah, what do you need? Like, so I'm leading for the girls. Like, I'm just leading, whatever. I'm just leading it all. I don't care. And then the guys set is right next, right? And the guys do a set, and they're done. They can't lead me more than whatever it is. And I look at the coach, and I'm like, do I need to lead for those guys too? So I lead for the girls. It's like, I'm like, let me just grab a sip of water and go back again and lead for the guys. And I think that was kind of like, all right, like, holy, I can't believe this guy's doing this. Is this possible, right? But you come from a different world and you kind of shake up some stuff, and people start to take notice. People start to change their perspective. But, you know, when you get buried in a sport culture in some places, it's too hard to change. People's minds just stay in this road. And I think sometimes that kind of happened in Italy. I think, you know, you got to get outside of your comfort zone as often as possible. And some people just don't want to get outside of it. But by the time we get to, go ahead.
Do you think that a lot of that has to do with just the general cultural differences between like the United States and in place like Italy?
I mean, country per country has definitely cultural tendencies that change sport culture for sure. I mean, but I will say that sport is kind of like the great equalizer.
Yeah, it's the ultimate passport.
Yeah, like you can have immense talent and not work, and you can get by for a couple of years or one race or something, right? You could be tremendous work ethic and not a lot of talent, and that takes you a little further. And then you can combine those two, talent and work ethic. And I think that in different cultures, for sure, you know, it will be different. But if you want to win, you go to a race and you get your butt whipped. Like, I don't want that to happen again. Like, if you want to win, you go to a race and you get your butt whipped, and you show up the next, you know, then a week later at practice, you're like, all right, listen, I don't want that to happen again. I'll do whatever I have to do to not let that happen, right?
Yeah.
And the coach can respond to you. Like, a lot of that is that relationship with a coach and an athlete. You got to find somebody who's willing to push you and take you to a place that you don't really know how to get as an athlete. You got to find that person that's kind of like, listen, we're going up this mountain, and like, they're going to be all kinds of weird stuff that you have to navigate going up this mountain. And I'm going to try to call some things out, you know, to you as you climb this mountain. I'm going to climb it with you, but, you know, I'm not doing the climbing all the way. You're doing it. And I'm going to call out, hey, watch out, there's an avalanche. Hey, watch out. You know, there's some wind over here. You know, you got to shift yourself on the mountain and get yourself up it, right? Because the truth is athletes always forget, like, they want to be the best. I want to be the best all the time.
Sure.
It's really hard to be the best all the time. Like Everest, nobody goes to the top of Everest and lives there. That's why you go to the Everest, you plant your flag, and you're like, peace. I'm out of here. Yeah. Thanks. Right? Because nobody lives up there.
Right.
It's the same thing for high level sport. Like, the people that have durability over years and years and years understand very, you know, slowly, but then very quickly. It happens like that, right?
Yeah.
I can't stay up here all the time. I can't work at this rate for 6 or 7 years. And if I had to say one thing about Arianna, the thing that people look over, but not intentionally, because it's so easy to miss, is her durability, right? I mean, her first medal was when she was 15 years old. She's almost 32 now. That's durability.
Yeah.
Right? So you're talking about somebody whose technique has changed and gotten better over time. She's got stronger over time. She's gotten faster. She skated her fastest ever 500 and her fastest ever 1,000 this year. So we're talking about like durability of athletes. And that goes back to that, the same stuff I'm saying. Good people around you, making good decisions, character-driven decisions solves everything. You just can't have people around you that do shady things or make decisions that are questionable or leave you in doubt as an athlete. You have to have 100% confidence and you have to buy into the program 100%. If you can't do that, you're not durable. You're not confident when you're on the line.
So when you're, I mean, obviously so you've got kind of to paraphrase this, got a really shitty coach over in the US. Where's he coaching now? You mentioned he's still coaching?
Yeah, he is still, and here's the thing, he's not a shitty coach. He is morally damaged.
Okay.
So that kills any good that his coaching might do, because he creates an environment that is toxic. So any good that he does for you as an athlete kills with the environment.
Let me explain this really quick. You know, I had this conversation with Casey, and I love Casey. I mean, I've known him since I was 10, 12 years old, from a competitive standpoint. And as we got older, we've had a lot of just interaction as adults. But I teased him at the end of the interview and I said, what's it feel like to be the greatest speed skater to have never won? And that was a teasing thing because me personally, I look at it and if you know, it's a very American standard, very American way of thinking of things. How many titles do you have? How many Super Bowl rings does Tom Brady have? How many this? How many this? Okay, Cowboys, this, that, and the other. Miami Hurricanes, 5 national championships. If that's a very American thing to do. But you say, okay, is that all that really makes up an athlete? Is that all that really makes up a person? If you look at this perspective, Casey is the most influential athlete in speed skating history. Yes, you've got Dan Jansen, Bonnie Blair, Eric Heiden, but Casey was the first athlete to transition over to ice, 1994, then 98, 2002, 2006, 2010. He's on 5 Olympic teams, still out there skating, 51 years old, qualifying for the U.S. national team on inline speed skating. That in itself completely eliminates the fact that he's not won. He's not reached that brass ring. He's not won the gold medal. He's not won the individual medal. To me, that makes him much more encompassing. So when I say shitty coach, you can be a great coach. Look, we can go back to inline. There's a lot of great coaches that have great athletes under them, but they were shit people. And they treated people around them like shit. They treated, athletes like shit, but they had great athletes under them.
But does that make them a good coach, or does that make them lucky that a coach or that an athlete fell into their lap?
This is why I say shitty coach, because I think there's more than just having great athletes under you. You're still a shitty coach, because at the end of the day, I think those negatives in that respect, I think they kind of wipe out the positives. So
I do too.
So look, Apollo was an amazing singular talent. Jordan Malone, Ryan Cox, but these Jonathan Garcia, goes out there. These are great singular talents that coach did not build. These are was it J.R. Selsky?
Mm-hmm.
These are athletes that didn't come from the womb, from the bosom of this individual person. He just happened to be in a great position to be able to coach them and lead them to, Olympic, prominence, whatever. I still say shitty coach.
Well, at this point in my life, I also say shitty coach. But I will say that, and I'll tell you now, he's actually coaching in Hungary right now. He actually just coached the Hungarian team at the Olympics.
So John Henry, Henry's now skating under him there.
And the problem is I think that you could probably ask virtually any Hungarian athlete at this point. Like, I think the environment there is very, very, very similar to the one that I experienced in the United States. And I think his methodology, his lack of character, I think that's what you see when you see the environment that's there. Performance, hey man, those guys are strong. I trust him about as far as I can throw him. So
how
you got to
remember
that. Yeah, he's not. I mean, he's overweight. So how big is he?
Okay, well,
big enough.
I don't know how far I think
that. No, I think the premise keeps coming back to coaches make a huge difference at all segments of this developmental curve. You got to have somehow find constructive coaches all the way around. And I was saying before, I've had 3 coaches in my life that have been good coaches. I've had a lot of coaches, and I'm talking, I have these 3 coaches, and they're not from the same sport. I ran track and field, I played college soccer. I played soccer all the way through college.
Yeah.
One coach is a track and field coach. One coach is a soccer coach, and the other coach is an inline coach. I don't even still feel like I had a good coach in short track ever. So that should speak volumes to parents, to athletes. you have to navigate this with a razor blade. You got to be really careful. You can't be, willy-nilly about the people that you walk into an environment and think that they have your best interest at heart. I promise you, they have their interest at heart. Got to be really careful. You have to have them prove to you and the people that you care about, they have your interest at heart. If they don't do that, hit the road, man.
So when you went over to Italy, you were there, better environment, but you still don't feel like the coaches were all there.
No, I think that was a very unique environment. They were restructuring everything. They were trying to get a system in place. I don't think the coaches were bad. I think the athletes were trying to adapt as quickly as they could. But I also think that, there's only so much you can accomplish in a single year. I mean, there's only so much you can accomplish. Yeah. I mean, what do you think happens with teams in any sport? The rebuilding year, right? I mean, how many teams now have had 10 seasons where they're rebuilding? Some people just can't get it right.
Detroit Lions.
What? so I think that, going through my trajectory, like just skipping from 2014 all the way to 2018, I think that, I finished my career in Sochi, boom, and I realized like there are some things that Ari could do significantly better. Okay. And I think that if you approach a situation understanding things and then the opportunity presents itself, and this is kind of how I became, and you originally asked this question, how did this happen? Like, how did you start coaching your wife? Well, it was out of necessity at the beginning. The coaching situation had changed in Italy, and there was only one coach for basically 20 athletes. And in this sport, short track, again, I told you the blades are really particular. That takes time. It takes time. It doesn't just, you show up, you put a new wheel on. It doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. So you're bending metal. Anytime you work with metal, and I'm sure there are a bunch of people out there who know that anything with metal, with temperature, gets really weird. Okay. You just can't anticipate it all the time. So that takes time, building people's blades, constructing them, working them. And if you're just one man, you cannot do it all. You can't. You got to build a team around you. And this guy wasn't really able to do that. He was kind of restricted in some ways. And I think that my working with Arianna between 2014 and 2018 happened out of necessity. She didn't have enough focused effort. She didn't have enough focused attention. But no athlete did in that period, because he was spread so thin. And it's not that he was a bad guy at all. I don't think he was a bad guy. I just think he was overloaded. And like I had said before, I think that you walk into a situation that is a good environment and is going downhill because somebody's overworked or overloaded, things start to deteriorate quickly. It's like a snowball, right? It's rolling downhill. It's gathering speed. It's gathering mass. And as things deteriorated in 2014, 2018, I kept taking on more responsibilities, right? Because things are getting worse. Well, we can't let the ship go down. So we have to keep making decisions that put Arianna in a place to be successful.
Well, on top of that, again, you made a whole decision to leave the United States to go over there. You're like, fuck, I've got to make this has got to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was actually the other thing. Like, Ari and I got married in 2014, right after the games. And at that point I was like I'm going to make this work. Like, I'm here, I'm showing up. Like, I'm not just phoning in home. Like, I'm here, let's do this. And, you see somebody you care about struggling, no matter what it is, right? It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter. They're struggling through something. They're having to make difficult decisions. They're frustrated. You can ask them questions. You might not have the answers, right? And I told you the first inline coach that I had when I was young in Tallahassee, he didn't know all of these things, but his perspective was like, I don't have to know it. I have to go figure it out, right? So part of me as a coach and my development is like, I did all these things for myself already when I moved away from the team in the US. Mm. Can I apply some of those things? Can I use some of those things to help her? So I would ask her questions at the beginning. I'd be like, how do you feel in this situation? What's your feeling? A lot of it is feeling, right? You got to connect these things. She'd be like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm missing something here. And I'd be like, do you feel this? I offer something that's particular, but I was very specific on a feeling. Do you feel this? Well, I feel more like this. And that conversation outside of a husband-wife relationship started to develop more and more. Well, we had these conversations. I wasn't really doing anything at that point. It was more just trying to analyze the situation more.
Has your Italian improved at this point? Like by the time you guys are having these conversations?
Then, no, man, her English is like showstopper, like 100%. Her English is booming. But yeah, I mean, my Italian now, like fast forward.
Thank God for the education system there in Italy where they're going to learn multiple languages.
There's some truth to that. Yeah. It's totally different though. The way it's organized, like sport outside of school. I love the idea of the U.S. having school and sport combined. I think that's a critical element that most countries don't have. But as far as like the way that this happened for Ari and I, it was totally organic. It wasn't like she and I went out and we were like, oh man, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have you become my coach. No, I would prefer not. I would prefer that not to happen. Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And I think that, the biggest thing was that people were like, this isn't right. You shouldn't do this. And I was like, well, then do it. You do it then. I don't really want to do this.
I'd prefer not to destroy my marriage.
That one. I'm looking at this 40 years from now being like, am I even going to make it 10? So nobody was stepping into this gap. Eventually, the president of the Italian Federation stepped in 10 months before the Olympics and was like, hey, Anthony is now Arianna's personal coach and get over it. And I was like, holy shit. Okay. Like now there's like actual real weight on my shoulders,
Yeah.
So then we changed. I mean, I'd have kind of anticipated this a little bit. We changed how she approached the gym. We changed how we were going to walk in there and develop. Like I told her, I was like, you are going to have a gear that nobody else has. We're going to give you this gear. It's going to be like the biggest chain ring that you can imagine on a bike. It's going to be massive. So we're going to build it. And you're just going to have to put faith in me that you might not be ready for like all the qualifiers, but we don't care about those. It's just a single season. Get ready for February. And she comes out in 2018. She's got a massive gear. She's skating faster than she's ever skated. And I think that there's a lot of people would not expect her to go and be in that position. And like all sprinters do, 500 meters is a long way.
Yeah.
500 meters is a long way. Okay. Yeah. Like 350, you can make 350. I can make 350, but that last 150 is a long way at full speed.
I can make 50 today.
I'm not going to make 5, but I think that people who don't get in the front of a sprint race ever, like really in the front and try to pull, they can't understand that. So in 2018, she was pulling and leading 500s, but at the Olympics, she was like, I know I'm going to have to lead this 500 meter from the gun, because there was this Korean girl, Choi, who just her top end speed was unbelievable. Like I like to imagine this phrase that Marc Gagnon, who's a great Canadian short tracker, said. Yeah. He was like, why do I care about the start? I've got 4 laps to catch you. Like that's his mentality. And you and I are the exact opposite. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna blow you out so hard on the start. You're never gonna get me, bro. You're never even gonna see me, right? Right. And so Ari is like, she's working her way in 2018 to feel comfortable enough that she's like, I'm strong enough. I believe in myself. I'm confident enough. All the work we've done, I can lead this whole thing, right? And that's how she actually ended up winning the gold medal, is by leading the whole thing tactically and skating the fastest 500 meter she'd ever skated at the Olympics to win the final against this girl Choi, who's coming on her outside like crazy. So I think in that way, we kind of did this organic building process. They kind of realized they needed to give me an opportunity, gave me an opportunity, and then we were successful. This is like, dream material. Like I was like, great, we did it. Let's pack it up and go home. Like I'm done here. Yeah. And after that, in my coaching journey, I think that, this federation, the Italian Federation, offered me the job to coach the women's team. At the same time, I was actually doing my master's, my MBA. And, you get involved in something, I get involved in something. People who committed to a process or a goal or an objective, like they want to finish it, Right. So I had been doing my MBA through this process. and through the years leading up to the Olympics, and I was like almost done. And they called me. They're like, "Hey, you need to drop everything. If you want this job, you drop everything. Come over here, coach this team." And my first questions were like, "How am I going to coach a women's team when my wife is who she is? Like, how can I coach more when she's that?"
Right.
I mean, I could probably do it, but the stigmatism of favoritism and you know, me playing cards for her as a coach, that would exist no matter how good she was or is. Like, they'd be like, "Oh, you did that for Arianna because she's your wife," and I'd be like, "No, I did it because she's the #1 ranked woman in the world. Like, why would she qualify against you? You're not even ranked."
Yeah, I contributed to her talent or her strength. I did not give her ability.
Yeah. So I couldn't accept that job. There was no way.
Yeah.
Not only for that, but also this is kind of like a sticking point. And this goes to coaching. So I turned it down for that reason, but also for this reason. I asked them for some simple things. One, autonomy as a coach is critical. You have got to be able, and I mean, like, you do not win races by committee. You walk in and you're like, "This is what we're doing. We're going this direction. Everybody, let's rock and roll. Everybody get on an oar and let's paddle."
Right.
You build a team around you just like any other coach in any other sport. You bring in the people that you want to have with you because you trust them. You know they're going to do a good job because you know them. You don't accept any other staff. You don't accept somebody from an administrative level that decided to put somebody on your staff. You don't do that.
Yeah.
So that word autonomy is like critical. And no coach should ever accept a job that does not have autonomy. You got to know what budget you've got at the beginning of the year. That wasn't possible. It's still not possible in Italy. You can't know that. So you can't plan properly. There's no way. You can't walk into a race, or excuse me, into a year where you've built an entire program that's dependent on location, how much money you can spend in those locations, and then how many people, how many athletes and staff you can bring with you to those locations for training. Well, maybe it's $10 that I get to spend as a coach, okay? But maybe it's $2 million that I get to spend as a coach. But it doesn't matter. If I know I got $10, I'm gonna spend $10, and I'm gonna do the most I can with that $10. If I got $2 million, I'm gonna spend $2 million, but I'm gonna do the most I can with that $2 million. If you don't know it and it's a moving target, you can't do the job. You cannot do the job. You will fail. So in that same moment of me saying, "I can't do this job because of Ari," I also was like, it's an undoable job. No one can walk into this and do the job. What happened? 2018 to now, the Italians have had 4 coaches. One a season.
Rate of attrition is 100%.
100%. Ari is the only athlete who's had the same coach who knows her now for 6 years. Okay. And at this level, when we're looking for 1 or 2%, not 10s and 20%,
that's huge.
That's what you need. You need to have somebody who knows you, right? So these other athletes, although incredible potential in Italy, there's no way for them to measure themselves. There's no way for anybody else to understand who they are. A coach shows up, he tries to get as much done as he can. He's banged down by a federal from the federal level, or he or she is constricted because their process and their system is based on a certain numerical amount in a budget. Well, that just erased my entire plan for a year. Yeah. How do you do that? Remember that these guys, unlike inlines, at least during our period, where we were racing like once a month or more.
Yeah,
right?
At least.
We were racing all the time. And these guys are like, "Yo, I'm not racing every month. I'm racing October, November, December, January, February. Like, I'm racing these 5 months. I'm not racing any in the summer or any in the spring. I know what I'm doing. I got to prepare for those." And here's the thing. Ari this year set a bunch of records. She won the overall World Cup in the 500 meters. She won a gold and a silver medal at the Olympics. But anything that happened before February was a bonus. Anything. It was not on our radar. I literally have a document that I sent to the Italian Olympic Committee. And I said, "Listen, our objective is to be in the top 9 of every distance. That's it. Top 9. I don't care if we win medals, but there are potential to win medals.
Yeah.
Our objective is this for the qualifying races, and at the Olympics, we're gonna turn all the gas all the way on, and we're gonna be in finals. Our goal is to be in every final. I can't tell you what's gonna happen in those finals, but we want to win, and we need to be in the finals to win.
So you guys actually, I had this conversation with Danny Roberts the other night. You guys literally did what we were talking about, was that where as inline, it's like there's no off time. You're skating all the time. And so it's almost like you're constantly having to be at peak performance. I started having this conversation at the beginning of the Olympics because of COVID and what effects all this would have if there was delays, if there were stoppages, if people were sick, whatever, quarantines. But if you're looking at it from an Olympic perspective, we know that in theory, Olympics are great because that's the biggest stage, and it puts people on TV and things like that. And that is a prestigious thing. But in sports like ice skate, long track speed skating, short track speed skating, you guys are competing at a high level, 4 or 5 times a year, and then have the world championships. So ultimately, yeah, you want to win the Olympics, but at the same time, it's like you do the Olympics that year, and then you still have the world championships that you have to go to. Like the long track guys I think they're over in Norway or something like that right now.
Yeah, they're going to get going real quick. And I mean,
yeah,
in theory, short track's the same, right? So they have the world championships and it's kind of like a little bit dubious right now because this is like live action. I'm texting back and forth with like coaches right now, like trying to figure out where it's going to be. Well, it's not going to be in Montreal. Where's it going to be? Are they going to cancel the whole thing? This war now in Ukraine's screwing everything up, right?
Yeah.
They're going to put it in Poland. They're going to just lots of questions. But also, watch this. In my plan and the plan that Ari and I agreed to, and that she is like, yeah, of course this is accurate. We were never going to the World Championships. We're not going. If nobody knows, they know now. We're
no
not
intention
going.
whatsoever for Ari to skate the World Championships.
Not even why? Why would we? We just won the Olympics. Do I need to prove it again? Like it's not a performance thing for us. It's a symbolic thing. Like somebody needs to wake up and tune up this calendar. On Olympic years, there doesn't need to be the World Championships. We just did it.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is if you're looking at it from that perspective, what if you know 2002 again? My opinion, I just throw it out there. Maybe no one gives a shit about it, but I don't think China should have ever had the Olympics. They should have never been able to host it. They should have. That's my opinion. You don't have to bite into that, but I think maybe they should have moved it for many, many reasons.
I mean, I'm gonna say this. I think that I would prefer to have that be my last trip to China. But if I was to ever coach more, I would have to go back most likely. So I'm sure my phone is on somewhere and listening to me.
Oh yeah.
And somebody's tapped into me on a far off continent. So
you
I'm
downloaded
not
an app
about that.
Did you download that?
Hey, look at this. You're gonna love this. Literally, this is the phone that I had at the games.
Yeah.
Today, Ari and I just got a new one.
Good.
Like legitimately walked out and bought a new one.
Good.
So no, that's a whole.
Put that one in the microwave. Take the SIM card out, break it, put it in the microwave.
No, it's toast, man.
But so what I was going to say is that you have an Olympics. You know that it's going to start in February of 2022. In theory, if you're going, if you're that top level, you're that top caliber, and you're going to start that quad, you're going to start that cycle. In theory, wouldn't you want to make sure that what you guys did was to say, look, none of these other months matter except for February every year. We want to be at the top of our game at February every year and create that body cycle.
COVID really screwed a bunch of things up. And the truth is it benefited Ari in some ways. Because she's racing against people who have 20% of the racing experience she does.
Okay. Yeah.
So if COVID, you think about it, here she is, she's 32. We're talking about a significant amount of time at the highest possible level, right? Yeah. Let's just say 15 years. Okay. Yeah. So 15 years at the highest possible level, like maybe everybody she's racing against have like 3 or 4 years realistically. So those people need more racing. They need more racing. Just like inlines in the United States, we need more races. We need a million more races.
Absolutely.
But especially during COVID, they cancel the world championships, they cancel some races, all of a sudden the whole season's gone. And now for me, I'm like, okay, tactically, like this is actually a really great thing for us because nobody's racing against Ari. Nobody knows what she's going to do. Nobody can anticipate anything because nobody's racing her.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing for us. But getting to your point of, do you just get into the cycle of like February always being important? In a way, you do. But I think that the World Championships every year is usually March, the beginning of March. So it ends up being like a little bit truncated, right? That February shifts to March. And I'll tell you this, like, you're going to see people this next season perform who probably will not perform at the next Olympics. Like this next season that comes up, because people are going to quit or take a year off, right?
Yeah.
And you ask like, oh, is it for the next quad? And I'm like, nope, it's not for the next quad. Ari took 2018 and 2019 all the way off. Like she put on a bunch of weight, but that's not a bad thing. People need to understand like your body needs to recover.
Yeah.
Need to recover.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay to put on some weight. It's okay to be a little out of shape, you know?
Yeah. When I tip 200, that's exactly what I tell people. I'm recovering.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I tell myself too. I was like,
see all this? See this down here? This is recovery.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fast.
That's so, right.
Like my perspective on training, my perspective on preparation, you got to pick and choose your battles. You can't go out there and try to be, you know, a weekend warrior, week in, week out. You can't. You got to show up and try to win. If you're going to commit to doing something, commit to doing it really, really, really well. That's absolute top level. I think also if when you're young and trying to gain more experience, you got to race. And sometimes you show up at races and you're like, I'm not in the best shape. Mm-hmm. And whoever's with you better be like, you know what, you're right, but that doesn't matter. You're going to go out there and race because you need to race. You need to learn how to race. You need to make bad decisions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Coaches have to be okay with those bad decisions and counsel their athletes. You know, I'll tell you one thing that, you know, we've kind of been hovering around this like racing thing. I keep talking about racing, more racing. You know, that's something that definitely our generation's experienced a ton more of than current generation has really experienced in the United States. Yeah. As far as inline skating goes, they're not the same races. There's, you know, you can go down the list, like every major holiday, there was a race, right? Yeah. That doesn't exist now, right? So, and I'll tell you something that years ago, and this actually happened in like 2011, 2012. I started talking to you know, one of our friends about how I saw skating, like what was missing. If I could do it myself, what would I do? And I think she was just like mentally taking notes, like just keeping it all in there, just digesting, right? And she approached me one day. She was like, you know, that thing that you talked about, and, you know, we'd have drinks over it and we'd talk about it. I mean, for probably a year or year and a half. And she got to the point where she was like, screw it, I'm going to do this, you know? And she convinced me. She was like, I want to do this thing. Like, will you kind of like sit behind the chair? Like, if I'm doing this, will you sit behind the chair? And like, if I'm doing something and it's not right, will you tell me? And I was like, I mean, how big do you want this thing to be? How often do you want to do it? Like, I had a million questions, right? Because it's a big commitment to do any kind of like series or racing structure or like educational platform for anything, right? Yep. So she explains how she imagines it working in the fall. And I'm like, that's brilliant. It's the right time to do it. Like, all these races should start happening in August, September, October, November. Like, that's the right time. Let's do it. She's like, okay. So she starts this. I'm with her. It's this thing called Skate More. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's down in Tampa. Mm-hmm. And she's been now operating this thing for like, I think we've been doing it for 7 or 8 years now. And it's like my quiet, like Ari and I are involved. We show up, you know, I think not every year, but every other year, to an event. And it's kind of like putting our hands and fingers on like the next generation. Like, how is this happening now? How is it working? And, you know, we contribute, like you were talking about, you donate to the world team. Like, that's the upper end. That's like the top end of a donation cycle. And I look at it differently. And Ari's like, how would you do this? And I was like, come here, look at this thing, you know, look at this thing that Crystal's doing. We built this thing quietly. It's happening. Yeah. And I was like, I brought her for the first time. She was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I wish we could do it in Italy. And I was like, we can try to do it in Italy. And so we kind of like push some of our, we donate at the bottom end instead of at the world team end. We donate at the bottom end, not just time, but actual money. Right?
I'll tell you really quick, the fundraiser that they're doing, the money does go to the world team, but what they're actually doing is raffling off kids skates. So David Weber actually donated the skates, and they're for kids. So the effort was to try to get it twofold, was to try to get donate some free skates out to some younger kids to get them involved, and then the money go out to over.
It's really important, and that's a great angle. It's a great angle. I think that you like finding like our generation of athlete who has great memories, right? Great memories of those times, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Car rides to races, the team environment, like the community. It's all about the community for me. Like I that's something that I think has really actually been lost in this. Like, we're going to the Olympics. Well, how are you going to the Olympics? You're sitting here on wheels and you're 10 years old. What are you talking about? This is the reason you're here. You want to go to the Olympics, man, just have fun out here.
Yeah.
So I think that part of this, us kind of like working this like quiet angle. I mean, we don't raise our hands and tell anybody we're there. We show up, like we'll show up again this year. We'll bring Ari's medals down. Everybody can be happy and all that. But, like we're going to donate money and time. Like we'll donate money for them to have a new timing system. We'll donate money for them to have maybe, just thinking out loud, like there'll be probably some like coaching, like actually education for coaches that comes in, right?
Yeah.
Part of that is like my desire to not see the problems that I had, right? I don't want to see this keep going. Let's end a cycle. But I think now Ari and I kind of have a good routine as far as like athlete coach.
Yeah.
And this run was a little different though. This run was different. So.
Well, you guys are mature. You guys are maturing, and you kind of know where you want to be in life, and you guys are starting to make some decisions that need to really affect y'all in the long term. Kiddos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tell me about it, man. We showed up in Italy after we got off the plane, we came in house, man. No kidding, man. It's like second question. How was the Olympics? Are you guys gonna have kids?
Yeah.
Like boom. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, here we go. This is happening now.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. How do you put your desire to want to perpetuate your genes and have a family with Arianna and her dream to be the best athlete in the world? It's hard.
No, I mean, listen, if she quits now, she goes out with her best ever season, her best ever Olympic experience. She goes out in a very, very constructive and very happy way.
Yeah. Let me ask you something.
We have kids right now.
Where are you guys? Like where are y'all? Like what part of the country y'all living in?
We're about 20 minutes east of Lake Como.
Okay, so you guys are
north,
further north.
North.
Yeah. So my understanding during, I mean, because that's where the training facilities are and everything up there, because it's in the mountains. Mm-hmm. My understanding was that during COVID, there's and of course this just could have been media, whatever. The northern half of Italy got hit pretty hard with COVID, simply because it's my understanding that there is a large Chinese immigration population there, and they're relatively older.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
So you guys got hit really, really hard up there.
Really bad.
Shut down everything. Cause I mean, that's what we were seeing on TV was the northern half of Italy, even though all the population's in the south. The northern half of Italy got hit super, super hard. So
yeah, it was a pretty wild time. It was really wild. And unfortunately, my dad's health was declining, and I caught one of the last flights out of Italy to the U.S. We didn't know what it was at the time. Like, how could you know you couldn't fly back?
Yeah.
So Ari and her family are here and going through all this craziness, and I'm in Florida, like with my dad, like trying to take care of him.
Yeah.
So the whole biggest portion of COVID, Ari and I are separated. It's just absolutely insane. Like, I mean, everybody can imagine being away from the the person they care about most, or they're just loved ones. You can't see them, really can't touch them, make sure they're okay. And that was a time.
How long were you forced to stay here in the States before you could go back?
I mean, I could not get a flight back for almost 3 months. And once I figured out, I was like, okay, Switzerland's open before anybody, and the Swiss border was pretty close. I mean, it is pretty close to where we live.
Yeah.
So I found, like, I was like, okay, like, it's open. I can buy a ticket. I'm getting you a ticket. You're gonna go and fly here. Like, screw it. So she got on a flight from Switzerland, like, drove there, got on a flight, and came over direct. And that was a big deal. I mean, we spend time in the U.S. because, I mean, that's the way our life works.
Mm-hmm.
But this time it was way different. Like, coming over, and the restrictions in Florida. I mean, in Florida it's just totally different. Like,
yeah,
totally different, right?
Thank God. Hey, thank God for Florida and Texas, right? Yeah.
Like, we walk in, she comes off the plane, she's looking around, she's like, I don't understand why people don't have masks, but she's got a mask on.
Yeah.
I'm like, you want to go to Publix and get a sub? Like,
yeah,
like, everything's fine. It's not like everybody is, like, taking it in stride. I think everybody in the US, it's just they're just different segments of how people responded to it. And I think clearly, COVID, the age thing was a big deal. It still is a big deal.
Yeah.
The older you are, the more protected you should be. But I do, I know a guy in Italy here who had a super bad response to the vaccine. I mean, he had a stroke, and he can't explain it. He's a super fit guy, went to the Olympics, won medals. Like, he's what, probably 3 or 4 years older than you are. There's no reason he should have any health problems.
Yeah.
And I saw him the other day at the airport, and I asked him what happened. He was like, I'm pretty sure it was a vaccine.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of questions about all these things that are going on in our period of time right now in history. Like, how much, and this is something I think about, like, 15 years from now, what are the percentages going to be of true mental, like, health disorders, right?
Yeah, just
broad spectrum.
Yeah.
I can't name them. I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah.
But what's the percentage increase going to be? It's going to be massive.
Oh,
absolutely.
Massive. Absolutely.
What's the deficiency rate in reading going to be?
It's huge because kids can't see the face.
Kids can't read. They're not being socialized properly. What are the effects of these things going to be in 10 or 15 years?
I think they said, just to that really quick, I think they said here in the United States, I don't know where the study was done, but due to kids being out of school and now having to, cover their faces and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and the teachers covering their faces, there's something like a 360% or 380% decrease in kids' ability to read at a certain age, which obviously is going to hinder, everything. that growth. It's not everything. This linear line of, okay, you start here and you just eventually do this. It's here. And so
I would definitely be amiss if I thought that life just got back on track and everybody's going to be good in 10 or 15 years. I think that it's
a long-term thing.
An incredible problem that we have all, as a world, it's a global problem that every country is going to face. And I think it'll be different in every country. Clearly, everybody has different mechanisms for handling things because their structures are different. Like, in the U.S., the education system is different than everywhere else, and everywhere else is different than the U.S. Sports will be different. How much did it affect? Go ahead.
Through the government in Italy down through Italian Speedskating, the federation there, were there mandates that you guys had to deal with from say the government level all the way down through y'all, where y'all had to have? I mean, were y'all required to get vaccinated, for example?
Yes. I mean, saying we were required, you just couldn't do anything. Like, you couldn't go to the bar, you couldn't go anywhere. You needed this green pass.
So Italy has that, where you guys have to have a card to go anywhere.
We gotta go. I mean, and for the games, like, that was part of the deal. Like, I waited until we couldn't wait anymore. Like, okay, so we have to be vaccinated to go to the games. And I'm asking infinite times, like, okay, so we're going to get the vaccination. Yes, we're going to get this. Right. I mean, lots of decisions.
Was that an
Would have been
Italian
made
decision, or
differently.
was that at the IOC level that they
No,
were requiring it from everybody?
I think that they decided that it's like you go by the country that your origin is for the requirement. So when you came to China, you had to be vaccinated, but whatever level of vaccination, if you will, like round 1 or 2 or 3, that was dependent on your country, but you had to be vaccinated. So
Gotcha.
whatever it is that gets you into everything that you need to do to train, that's what you had to do for your country.
Gotcha.
And then when you came to China, it's like, well, yeah, of course I'm good because I've got, round 57 of the vaccine.
Yeah, I got you. All right, I got you. Well, look, Anthony, man, so you guys don't know. I mean, as far as the next cycle, the next quad, no decision's been made. You guys right now are just looking to take some time off.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I hope everyone looks at it. But for us specifically, yeah, big time.
When are you coming down to Tampa?
Decompress. I think we're trying to plan a trip now, as in like we're trying to sort out the logistics. Ari clearly is very busy with a ton of stuff.
Yeah, she's going to be in magazines and TV and everything out there, of course.
Yeah, she's got a bunch of stuff. She's got a bunch of stuff coming, so that's really exciting for her.
Well deserved.
Yeah, she totally deserves it. But I think that we're trying to put some stuff together. We're trying to, stick together as much as we can, but we're both pretty independent about decisions and what we do. And I think that's also kind of the reason that we work well together. She's so great about being in the moment.
Yeah.
That's something so important that people just, we need to do this next. We need to do this next. Like I'm probably more focused on the big picture. And she is like, I'm here in this moment and I'm going to crush this moment. And I think she's probably one of the best I've ever seen about staying in the moment, like just riding it. So that her like immediate intensity is balanced out by my like long-term, like, all right, like this is how we're going to build this thing. I'm going to build it one piece at a time. And then she's staying in all of these moments, So for us, if the opportunity came in some capacity, I don't know how, because I think there are a lot of roadblocks. There are a lot of roadblocks in front of both of us in sport in Italy, strange enough as that might seem. But I think if the opportunity presented itself physically, I think she would be fine. I don't think she would have a physical problem. Mentally, I think she's as sharp as she's ever been, or the sharpest. So I don't think it's a problem to go and be successful, because she won't go if she can't win. I know that. We've had that conversation. Like, I'm not just going to show up and put my skates on and skate a big lap, I'm going to show up, and if I can win, I'm going to go. But if I can't,
this is not recreation.
I can win.
We're here to compete at the highest level. If you can't do it, we need to pack it up.
Yeah, but like your time's come, and that's okay. Like time marches on.
Yeah.
But I think that if the opportunity and the circumstances presented itself, I think she would do it. I think that it would take a lot for me to want to do it. I didn't want to do it this time. I thought we were, for 2018, we had 10 months to get all her ready. And that was not a long time.
Yeah.
And this time we had longer, but it was just a logistical nightmare of everything that could go wrong, went wrong, and us adapting to it.
Yeah.
And I would much prefer not to have risked a marriage that is my own to do it.
Yeah.
But if the circumstances existed, I think she'd want to. And I'm not going to tell her no. I don't want to kill a dream. I mean, that's the worst feeling in the world, killing somebody's dream. So if she needs me, I'll help her if I can. But if she doesn't, and we find another coach that can crush it, I'm so 100% on board with that. Like,
there you go.
Yeah.
You could take some time off.
Yeah, right. Then I get to real work.
Yeah. Have you finished your master's?
Yeah. I finished it right away. I mean,
good.
I had 3 months left when they offered me the job, so I had to finish it.
Good, man. Yeah. Well, look, Anthony, man, I think it's a good place to end it, man. I know it's getting later there. It's probably about wine 30.
It is
over
definitely
there.
wine 30.
So, man, I want to say I like to, and I say this on every show, and I like to really end these shows, because I know we cover a lot of like controversial kind of stuff throughout. I want to say to you that what you're doing out there is very, it's motivating and should be very inspirational for a lot of people to say, look, even if your journey ends at the competitive level, there's more that you can contribute to the sport. What you've done is taken your knowledge over a 30-year span in sports, and though you may have not won your own gold medal, you were able to contribute to someone else's journey. And I think that, going back to the conversation with Casey, that there is more to an athlete, there's more to a coach than that medal, than that just standing on the podium. There's more to him that makes it up. And I think what you're doing out there, man, is very inspirational. Should be an inspiration. It should be a guidepost for a lot of people to say, you know what, there's more to doing this than simply winning that thing. Obviously, we all want to win it. That's the ultimate goal. But how do I go about doing it? I want to wake up every morning, look at myself in the mirror, and know I'm not a piece of shit. That I'm doing the best job for these people out here. And so, man, hey, congratulations to you. Congratulations to Arianna, that you were able to put yourself aside for the betterment of her, and that you're at the all the time. That's something coaches need to understand, is that, hey, you're here to contribute to this athlete. They're already strong. It's your job to contribute to them and follow their path and follow their dream, not make it your own. And right. Man, what you're doing with her is awesome, man.
I appreciate that. I think you couldn't have said it better. And if you think the medal is going to make you a better person or lift you up into the stratosphere of popularity, you're not enough.
We know a lot of shitheads that have won some Olympic gold medals. Yeah.
So there are some of those. Some of those. So just, I appreciate you, man. Keep it up. Keep the episodes coming, man.
Yeah, you let me know when you're down in Tampa, man. I am actually planning some trips. I actually might make it out to nationals this year. There's some people I'm going to be talking to. I'm actually going to Salt Lake City, leave Saturday. We're going out there for Dustin Garcia's bachelor party.
I heard about that.
So yeah, so we got we're doing that, and then we have Justin Stelly is going to be coming out. He's going to sit down with me one day. So we're gonna have some fun out there, man. But thank you so much, Anthony. I appreciate, man. Anthony Lobello, everybody.